it's Lori. I am here today with my What I Wore This Month video for the end of October and November 1st. Well, technically November. There was a bit of spotting on November 2nd, but I'm going to call it for November 1st. I actually ended up having 2 cycles in October this month, which is new for me. I normally have quite a long cycle, generally about 30 to 32 days, but this month my cycle was only 26 days, and I ended up with 2 shorter length cycles rather than 1 longer cycle. And I really think it was probably about what my normal cycle is, just broken up into 2 parts. So I'm not sure what's up there, but nevertheless, I do have another video to do. So I started this cycle. It lasted 4 days. My normal length is 7 to 8. So really, my last one was about 4 to 5 days as well. So about half of what I'm used to. I got it on October 28th and it ended on November 1st. So the neat thing was I had my cycle over Halloween this year. So I got to wear a lot of my Halloween pads on Halloween, and Halloween is one of my favorite holidays. So that was kind of exciting because I have a lot of Halloween pads as well. So let's start with the accessories. I did a haul video for some sea sponge tampons that I found recently in my local drugstore that I was very excited about, and I wore one this cycle. I wore it for 2 days consecutively. I would insert, rinse, and reinsert, and I absolutely loved it. So I will likely do a review and a comparison video between these sea sponges and the ones that I have from Jade and Pearl. I bought the 3-pack from Jade and Pearl, and I've had those for about 6 or 7 months. So I've used them quite a bit as well. And then I also wore 2 Interlabial pads. This is the standard style that many people, it's one that I made, but many people make this shape. It's flannel backed and cotton topped. And I find Interlabial pads a little bit bulky and not super comfortable. So what I normally do is I'll moisten them a little bit. I'm not intending these to be used as an absorbent layer. They're just to direct flow. So if they're moistened, it's not a big deal. The blood will still be directed onto the pads like you'd want it to be. They don't absorb if they're moistened, but that's fine with me. So I insert them just like this, and then the blood will direct along the length. But I had an idea when I was actually wearing this and finding it a little bit uncomfortable to try a triangle shape. So I went down to my sewing studio and I whipped up this little triangle interlabial pad. It is unbleached organic cotton on both sides, just a layer, 2 layers, and then I just did like a sewing machine style serge around the edges because I find that that's the least bulky. Actual serging is kind of a little bit bulky, and then turning and top stitching is bulky, whereas I have a blanket style stitch on my sewing machine, and doing that makes it just as thin as if it weren't sewn at all, so you don't feel it. I must be really sensitive because some people, they say they can't feel these at all once they're moistened, but I still feel them the whole time. So this was nice because I inserted it this way, so I still got that long area of where the flow was directed to. It wasn't just going to one spot, but I only had a little bit inserted, so it was quite nice. I wore it like this, and it folds over a little bit when you're wearing it, and that's okay. And it was quite good at directing the flow, all over the length of the pad rather than just in one spot. And this was far more comfortable for me anyway than this was. So I think I'll be making quite a few of these and wearing this style from now on. I also like the flannel. Cotton, I find, it's thinner than flannel, but it's not as soft, whereas this I find it was very soft and very comfortable to wear. And then we've got my sea sponge tampon. This is just a cup spot that I set it on when it was drying, but it's totally dry now. And then on the first day, which was Thursday, which was Thursday, the first pad, I normally start my cycle spotting for a day to half a day-ish, but I woke up Thursday morning and when I used the restroom in the morning, I started my flow, full on period. So I'm not sure. That's another reason why I kind of think that I had my cycle at the beginning of the month. My body took a 3-week hiatus, and then I finished it at the end, because the typical way that I start my period and end my period didn't happen this month. So I was full out on a heavy day that first day, and I wore my 12-inch knit topped Winpro backed heavy pad in the Rainbow Bright print from Lazy Creek Boutique. And I have to say, I wore scrundies for my whole cycle this month, just because I wanted to try out different shapes and styles of pads with scrundies. I loved the way this pad worked with scrundies. I wear both the boy short and the brief style, and I was wearing the boy short, which is the wider of the two, when I was wearing this pad, and I absolutely loved it. I couldn't even feel it. I totally forgot that I had even started my period that morning wearing this. The knit top on this also kept me quite dry, which was surprising. When I took it off, it was heavy. It was very well used, but it sat very well in the scrundies. She's got the double snaps on these, so it's quite wide on the second snap. And it's also kind of, if you can see, because it's a knit fabric and Winpro backed, which is like an interlock as well, it's stretchy. So it like sat in the gusset of my scrundies totally inconspicuously. Sometimes when you're wearing a pad with scrundies, they'll bunch up a little bit where the pad snaps, and that's okay because it's still, it still works, but it's a little bit bulkier. Whereas with this, it was like I wasn't wearing a pad at all. So I actually went out and I ordered some more Lazy Creek boutiques because I just loved the way that they worked with my scrundies. And then I put on this 13-inch cotton topped Winpro backed pad. This is one that I made myself. I picked up this fabric. It's a new one that was just released. I love Alice in Wonderland. I absolutely adore the Queen of Hearts, and of course Alice herself. It's my favorite Disney movie, one of my favorite books as well. So this is 13-inch cotton topped Winpro backed, and it was a shape that I was just playing with to make some decorative pads as Christmas presents. And I ended up really loving it. It's nice and long through the gusset, so it doesn't flare out too soon, because for me, if there's not enough length in the gusset, then they're not comfortable for me. I need a little bit longer gusset and then the flare to start a little bit higher up. And then when they come to this point on the top as well, they sat a lot flatter, I found. They were less, you couldn't see them as much because it was a gradual end. Whereas with a pad like this, you can see this line sometimes. So this was really comfy, so I'm looking forward to making some of these as gifts for Christmas. And then this is another one, again, a test pad. It's cotton topped, Winpro backed, and I had to make this particular part of this print into a pad because look he's doing laundry. And I just couldn't wait to have to wash this one when I was washing up my pads after my cycle. It was hilarious. So I then put on this 14-inch curvy Hoo Hoo Rags. This is my favorite pad, I think. Still, it's cotton topped, wind block fleece backed, which is made by Polartec. It's the same company that makes Winpro. I honestly cannot tell the difference between the two. They work equally awesomely, in my opinion. So I put that on, and then that night, like I said, I've been wearing as many Halloween themed pads as I could. I wore my 16-inch black cats and pumpkins from Yurtcraft. It's cotton topped, Winpro backed, and I haven't said it, but all of these pads are heavy pads. And then on Friday, I woke up in the morning and I tried out this 13-inch cotton topped, Winpro backed heavy pad. It's another one that I made myself. I've had this fabric for a really, really long time, and I have a scarf made out of it and a few other pieces, and I just love it, so I figured I'd make myself a pad with it, and I wanted a nice long exposed core style pad. And then I put on this 12-inch OBV topped Annie Bell's Essentials pad. I just got this one this month. It's new and it is so comfy, and I've been hesitating about purchasing OBV top pads, but what I've learned so far is that normally the people that have issues with them being crunchy are on harder water from the sounds of it. So I'm hoping, because we don't have hard water, that they won't get crunchy over time. But this is really soft and super silky, and it was so comfy to wear. And then I put on this really awesome 13-inch Phoenix Rising Reusables wicking top pad. I had to try this out after seeing Amy Nix post about how much she loved hers. And the stay dry fabric absolutely works. It was awesome. You could tell that you were, like, you could feel yourself bleeding, but you didn't feel the dampness at all. And I didn't think I had been bleeding very much. And when I took this off, it was heavy. So it was doing its job. It's cotton on the sides, but then this is the core is the exposed core is the wicking fabric. And then the back is WinPro. And again, this is a heavy pad as well. And then I put on, because I was only going to be wearing this for about an hour before bed, I put on this moderate, even though it was a heavy day. It's a 12-inch Grumpy Cat, cotton topped, lambskin fleece backing, and it's a super squishy floppy pad. It's super comfortable. And then that night I put on my 14-inch, again, a Halloween themed pad. It's Yurtcraft, cotton topped, and WinPro backed. Then on Halloween, which was on a Saturday this year, I put on, when I first woke up in the morning, I was starting to get into more of a moderate day. So I put on this moderate 12-inch Hoo Hoo Rags, Halloween themed. I picked this up during her Halloween stocking and was very excited to be able to wear it on Halloween. And then I wore, this is a 13-inch pad that I made myself. It's in the Gasly's Frames fabric, and it's PUL backed, cotton topped, and it's a heavy. And then I put on this moderate 11-inch A Splendid Story pad with Glenda the Good Witch. It's WinPro backing, and this is the pad that I actually wore to take my daughter out trick-or-treating. And this pad is so comfy. It's super thin, and it's one of those pads where, you know, you're wearing it and it's not bothersome at all. It's very, very inconspicuous, even in scrundies. So put that one on. When we got home from trick-or-treating, we washed all of our makeup off, and I put this little guy on. Well, little for me anyway. It's an 11-inch Sleeping Dough pad. 11-inch or 12-inch? I think it's 11. It's the same size as the Splendid Story, so it's got to be 11. 11-inch Sleeping Dough in this really pretty moon print. Just wore that for about an hour before I went to bed, or well, maybe two-ish hours. And then that night, on Halloween night, I wore my new 14-inch Hoo Hoo Rags, curvy style, cotton topped, wind block backed to bed. This was more than I needed that night because, again, my flow was starting to lighten up, but I just love this pad. It's a beautiful, beautiful fabric, and I had to wear it on Halloween. And I was excited I got to wear it on Halloween. Okay, so then on November 1st, which was Sunday, I woke up and I put on this coffee pad. It's 12 inches, cotton topped, WinPro backed, and it's just one that I made myself. And then I put on this 12-inch Fig Leaves pad. This is a new one. I just got this last month. It's cotton topped, WinPro backed, and I just love the print. It's gorgeous. And then I tried for the very first time this 12-inch Galaxy Novel Red pad. It's very narrow, which is something I was concerned about the second I seen it. So it's less than 3 fingers. It's less than 2.5 inches. I think it's 2.25 when snapped. And it's narrow all the way down, which is fabulous, exactly what some people need. But because I'm a bigger girl, I do tend to, and I bleed in no specific pattern, I do tend to need a little bit more coverage. It's very, very, like, this is like half, almost the width of the pad that I wore that night to bed. So I'm gonna use it. It's mostly going to be as a backup pad for cups and sponges or on light spotting days. And then that night, because you never know what's going to happen, especially with the difference in my cycle this last month, I wasn't sure if it was going to be heavy overnight, or if it was going to come back, or if there was, you know, going to be a gush in the morning. So that night I put on this 13-inch minky pad. This is a custom spoonflower printed minky, and I absolutely love the print. It's beautiful. The print is quite large, so you do really need to use it on a larger pad. But the spoonflower minky is amazing. I know a lot of people have reservations about spoonflower because their cottons do tend to fade, and they're not really true to color even when they first come in. And then when you wash them, they look like you've washed them. Sorry, camera hiccup. And then when you wash them, they look like you've washed them, you know, many times, and it's only been the once, and they just keep fading and fading and fading every time you wash them. So they're not the best in terms if you're going with just a general cotton fabric, but I find their peak, while it's not true to color, it's much more vibrant than the cottons are, and they don't fade, so that's a good option. It's like a wicking stay dry fabric. And then their minky is absolutely amazing. Their minky, the blacks are blacks, all the different shades of green show up, so the depth of color is really great. It's super low pile minky. I don't know if you can see, but it's soft in all directions because of how low the pile is. There isn't like a wrong way to wear it, and it's so soft. It's beautiful. So if there is a print that you really have been wanting to try, or you know, there's something that Spoonflower has that you absolutely love, but you've heard bad things about their cottons, and you don't want to really waste your time with something that's just going to fade after you wash it, I highly suggest you try their minky out if you enjoy wearing minky pads, because it's pretty awesome. And then on Monday, I woke up, actually I wore this one first. I put this liner on first thing in the morning. It's an 11-inch steampunk liner, just cotton topped and microfleece backed with one layer of flannel inside, just in case. I actually didn't end up using either of these. It was just more of a, so I didn't have to worry. And then I put on this 10-inch Red Riding Hood cotton topped flannel back with one layer of flannel inside. So that is what I wore for the end of October / beginning of November. There is a total of 21 pads here. And I also use 2 interlabial pads and 1 sea sponge, but I reused it throughout a couple of days to really give it a good shot. So if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments down below. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a fabulous day.